whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me or them, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my Lord, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I told her mom that I will soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told them we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my taxi thorough. Way I'm shooting like step with my passive, bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in they fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told them I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down cause dog I'm moving too fast. Might go and caught me a Tesla cause dog I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. Bitcoin, shocker. We're down at $65,000 here, guys, as the value area low gets tapped. We looked at this on yesterday's live stream. As we understand, the volume profiles have a very high probability of filling. We came down to that $68,000 POC, the, second target that we were looking at. And then once we lose that POC, we look for that move down to the value area low. And as we looked at the price action yesterday, we didn't really like the signals there at the point of control. We kind of melted through the support, started flipping it into resistance. And here we are, getting that full rotation of the volume profile, baby. The volume profiles are undefeated, especially when matched up with the money flow. So I'm going to take a look at the charts with you here, guys, today, and we'll talk about the next key levels of support underneath us. Is the value area low going to hold? Obviously, we talked about this yesterday. Is this typically a place where I'm looking for longs? However, these longs have to be treated with care, and I'm going to show you the one bearish signal that I'm looking at that is making me anticipate some potential more downside. Hopefully, we get a little bounce here. We'll dig into that today, and I don't know, man. These targets just go live. This target next. Next day, we're at that target. We pull up another target. The next day it's hit. I even said yesterday, I feel like we're due for a target not to get hit here sometime soon. We've just been crushing it. But, yeah, I'm going to cover the key levels underneath us. We are at a major level. Are we going down below 60K? Are we going to see some kind of a retracement? Are we going to be able to get out of here? I'm going to cover the bullish case, the bearish case, and I think you guys know which way I'm leaning. So without further ado, shout out to the CandleMafia. Welcome in. We got Jesse holding it down. Darren in the chat holding it down as our mods. Guys, thank you so much for everything you do here. Keeping the CandleMafia in check. Sometimes things get wild, especially if Chris is in here dropping some out-of-pocket chats. But shout out to you guys. Thank you for being here. We got H-Bar Moonboy in the chat. What's going on? Let's see. XRP. Shout out to Dion says XRP equals dog butt. Shout out to Dion. Maybe we'll take a look at XRP in a minute here. But yeah, shout out to Isaac Newton in the chat. Said, so much FUD. I don't know how much longer I can hold. I know I will regret selling. Shout out to Isaac. I don't know your exact situation, but of course, hopefully I can give you some peace of mind here on what we're expecting next here. Shout out to Ozgun. Welcome back, bro. Welcome in. He said, miss you, Frankie. We missed you too, Ozgun. Welcome back in. Zach in the chat said, sup, Frankie? You look better today. Yeah, shout out to Zach. I was looking a little bit tired yesterday. Got the puppy, man. I got the puppy. She goes nuts. She barks, and it's just hard to sleep. We had her sleeping in the bed with us for a while, but worked for a couple of nights. Then she just started going ballistic in the middle of the night trying to play with us. And we're like, this is not going to work. She needs to get out of the puppy phase first. But shout out to Lucy. She is not in the studio right now. Otherwise, you'd probably hear her barking. But yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the CandleMafia. And shout out to anybody watching the live streams and the market updates recently, expecting these key levels that we are now sitting at. Not only do we call these targets, but we also show you how I come to these conclusions so you can do it yourself whatever asset you're trading, whatever chart you're looking at, all these strategies work, and we're all about education here. So without further ado, if you appreciate the free education, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the key levels, and let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Here we go. All right, guys. Absolutely insane. Here is the Bitcoin meltdown here, and as you guys know, this was the major target from, I mean, not only yesterday's live stream, but guys, after we came up to hit our major $82,000 target, we're showing you guys the, oh no, I'm actually just in log scale here, or non-log. But we came up to the $82,000 target. We saw all the money flow starting to leak out here. Kind of the overall original thought process was that we could potentially hold a higher low here, but as we saw that money flow on the 4 hour starting to come into the red, that very, very simply indicates the trend is likely to continue to the downside. Once we tap in here, not only is the 4 hour money flow in the red, but we just start to see that high time frame money flow start to cross over, indicating a higher time frame continuation down for lower highs, lower lows. Once we got accepted below this value area high, this is where I said, hey guys, my bias is now bearish. Well, actually a little bit before that, even on this bounce, the push into new highs was the lower probability. And then once we got accepted into this value area high, and this is kind of what I want to focus on today, guys, because this entire move, all these calls for all these targets had everything to do with two simple things: volume profiles and money flow. And we knew once we got inside that value area high and could not get out, the highest probability next target was going to be that POC. We got the quick drop down there. And then yesterday, as we pushed into this level, we kind of just ran through it, flipped it into resistance, could not get back above it. We didn't have any significant medium time frame confirmations, in which case we say, hey, looking down towards that value area low. And now here we are, guys. Full rotation of the profile, all pointed out by the money flow. And the question is, are we finally going to see some, really like no opportunities for like any significant retracements inside this entire profile rotation? But it's very, very simple here, guys. I mean, you lose that value area high. I know I repeat this constantly, but it is one of the highest probability things you can look at on the charts. And there's a reason we call for it. When we call for it all the way up here, I don't show this to brag or be like, look, we were right. You guys know I have no ego. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just hope that when I'm wrong, I can figure it out as soon as possible. I'm actually excited to find out that I'm wrong, because then I can flip my sentiment. But it is just very simple. You can look at this as well. We teach it every single day here. And there it is, right? The proof is in the pudding. Still holding the short here from the $82,000 major target. Let me see. I think I have it pulled up here. Bada boom. I think it's this. Yeah, so now up about $6,000. I already have profits locked in here, but still $6,000 unrealized. Explaining to you guys every step of the way here why I am not closing my short position off of the things that I just talked about, expecting those lower targets to get hit. And that is what gives me the confidence to hold those short positions, to see that volume profile fill. Why would I close my short early if I'm expecting this full rotation to the POC and value area low? Absolutely perfect. So now as we tap into this major key level at the value area low, guys, you guys know we do have our 786 Fibonacci retracement sitting down here, right? So we had this kind of major golden pocket POC zone, right? And same thing, although this is a major level that we're looking at, it does not mean we are just automatically going to randomly take longs off this level. However, once we get in here, we identify the money flow, we identify the price action. Are we seeing any significant signals? In which case, at all of these levels, and to be fair, I did take a long here, but I did expect to get stopped out, right? So I took a small loss there. Short from up here is continuing to pay out. But even here, right, no significant confirmations, seeing tons of weakness in the market, expecting our next major key level. We come down there very briefly. We get a little bit of a, pit stop on top of that point of control. And then even above this, right, we had one more level, which was sitting right up here at the value area high. Didn't like the signals here. We're expecting lower. And then the first real major level of support was the PLC golden pocket. And we just didn't get like any reaction there. So just being able to, and the reason I bring this up is because I like to show you guys, right? It's not as simple as just like short here and hope it goes down, right? If we saw reasons for a big reversal here, we would have taken that into account, right? And been like, well, hey, the higher low and the higher high is going to be higher probability. But you have to be able to identify, these are areas of interest. They are traps in the market, right? We set the trap and we say once the mouse comes in, if it takes the bait, then we'll go ahead and look for the overall kind of sentiment or bias to play out. But once we see those signals, we expect lower, and just absolutely beautiful here. So once we lose this level, right, we can take this off the chart now. I'll just take the golden pocket off. Our next level is sitting here at the value area low, 786. We did also, that weekly MPOC was ran through. Let me just go ahead and take that off the chart. And this was the major level we had to flip, right? The first major level had to get above the weekly MPOC, get above the point of control, and then we had one more level up here to flip in order to see the bigger retracement. We explained why I thought that was the lower probability, and here it is. Bearish retest on the weekly MPOC, send it back down. But let me just take this off the chart because this is hit. So yeah, we are at the value area low here, guys, and we do technically have some bullish divergences. So yes, this is a place where I do technically like to look for long positions. I would say there is a valid opportunity for a bounce here. Let me just go ahead and mark this off as a little bit of a zone because we do still have that 786 down below. So we are into the value area low. Got the 1 hour bullish divergence. There are some things here that are, it's not perfect, kind of like all the other levels. But, we pretty much had a massive move down here, like no retracements. And now that we're hitting this major value area low, inside the profile, guys, you guys know, I personally like to look for longs at the value area low, shorts at the high, or a deviation above, of course. POC is like an honorable mention level. Like any of the longs inside of the profile, I'm always going to look at as scalps in order to anticipate the continuation down. Obviously, we did not get really any retracements. We kind of just nuked through the profile, which is kind of funny because I always talk about, like, you don't always get the perfect just get into the value area high, send it right back down to the low. You get it sometimes. And so, obviously, we do have to anticipate retracements. But in this case, it was a perfect, just absolute dump to the value area low. So we are seeing some lower time frame signals here, right? You do have some bullish divergences. And again, it is a little bit sloppy here. You do see that 1 hour bullish divergence potentially looking to print. You have your lower lows on your price action, your higher lows on your momentum waves. And as I covered yesterday, as we were putting in these lower lows, we did technically have some slight bullish divergences here, but I do not like when they're this spread out. I do like it a bit more locally into the level, and that's something you do have on your side here, this is more closely what I like to see for the bullish divergences into a key level of support, right? I like to see it more local into the key level, and you do now have that. So yes, we can see a local bounce here. Very simple value area low kind of set up there. Not printing just yet, right? VWAP still kind of sitting below the zero line. We'll see if we can print that green dot, but when we look at here, right, 45-minute, you have the green dot. Now you're printing a fresh red dot. And another thing that I am a little bit suspicious of, two things. You do have the 3 hour red dot looking to print. You have the 4 hour red dot potentially looking to print here. So when this happens, you just have some kind of mixed signals, right? And there goes the green candle. But yeah, I would say, I don't know if anybody's long from here. I would say it's a valid setup. But again, the two things that make me suspicious are you kind of are fighting that 3 hour red dot, that potential 4 hour red dot. 45-minute is kind of getting a little bit choppy down here. And then on top of that, you also have this 786. So I would really prefer to see that 786 hit. It's not a guarantee. Let me actually just see the difference here in our... Yeah, so it brings it down a little bit lower. I would at least like to see this 786 hit. It doesn't mean that you can't bounce without tapping it. Of course, there are signals here for a bounce. But, two ways you can handle that, right? You could either sit on your hands, wait for the bigger level to get hit, or the next level. I wouldn't necessarily say this is bigger, but it is an important line in the sand. You guys know we'll come up to a higher time frame. Once we lose this 786, guys, I'm hoping, right? I really do hope that we can get some kind of a retracement down here, maybe into the POC, and I'm going to cover the biggest levels of resistance above us. And I'm going to show you a very simple way to view this, because this is a very large volume profile. But when we look at our previous range from underneath us, right here, I think this is a little bit of a cleaner way to view price action locally. I'll bring that up in a second. However, when we look at this, right, once you start getting accepted out of this range, whether it's after a retracement, doesn't matter, or if we just come straight down, in my personal opinion, I do think if you wind up getting a bigger deviation below, there is probably a decent chance of some kind of a retracement. But at the end of the day, the big bearish signal that I'm talking about, which I've mentioned many a times here on the stream, is this daily money flow, guys. Do I think there is a chance of putting in a low here and then, sending it off into a new high? This is still, obviously, the lower probability scenario. Can I say this is impossible? No. I won't be able to say this is super confident until we get above major resistances here. And with the daily money flow coming out, remember, money flow always indicates the longer-term trend. It is literally how we were able to switch our bias from looking for higher lows and higher highs to looking for the bigger continuation down. This daily money flow still looks like trash, right? If this crosses into the red, I have to anticipate lackluster bounces, lower highs and lower lows, just like we were talking about throughout all of this price action. So I would still treat the longs with a bit of care, right? Kind of treating them as day trades or scalps until proven otherwise, taking profits along the way, protecting yourself, because still I would say the overall anticipation here is to potentially see this money flow cross red and then see a much bigger continuation to the downside. And the reason I call this the line in the sand is because if we lose this value area low, and again, this could be very confusing. I don't want to try to call the exact price action here. We could slip it, reclaim, go for the retracement. Either way, those retracements are going to be very suspicious, in my opinion, for a continuation lower based on that money flow coming out. It's very, very simple. But once we eventually, regardless of what the price action looks like up here, once we get underneath this 786 value area low and cannot get back above, guys, this is where I do expect to come down below 60K. Now, excuse me. We do have one big level underneath us, and I don't really bring these up very often. Let me see if I can pull it up. We do have the 200-week moving average coming in right now at about almost $62,000. This is a very, very big level of support. I will potentially look for longs down here in the context of like a deviation below our low. Right, we get down below the value area low, right? Maybe we can get some kind of deviation before getting accepted back in. But even then, overall, I would still be expecting lower highs and lower lows. Once we have the inability to reclaim this level, guys, once we get below this and if we get a dip and we can't get back above it, well, at that point, I'm looking to take out 60K. And I will bring up the big levels underneath us. You can see one of them sitting there at about $56,500. I'll bring up the high time frame support in a second, but at the end of the day, right, like this is kind of a very, this is one of those big decision points in the market because once you can't get accepted back in here, well, yikes, right? Once you get below the value, the hope there is that you can get accepted back into your fair value and then rotate. And $76,000 is, I'll bring this up, is still going to be a major level of support, resistance to get above, right? This could technically be a lower high for a lower low. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I'll keep you guys updated every step of the way. But from a very simple theory standpoint, once you can't get back above that 786, guys, that invalidates the idea of the continuation up, in my opinion. And we are very likely to take out 60K into our much bigger levels of support. And I'll bring those up in a second. But yeah, overall, very nice rotation down here. And just trying to identify what we got going down inside this value area low. Maybe we'll see a move here on the live stream. I sure hope so. But I'm going to be a little bit suspicious here. Let's check out that 1 hour real quick. Yeah, a little bit of an SFP there. And I will bring up the liquidation heat maps here real quick. You can see here, just underneath us, we do have some liquidity. This sits below our low, pretty much the low where we took the long position. Shout out to the CandleMafia in the premium Discord, guys. Literally longed the low here into major resistance, shorted the top all the way back down. Of course, there were a bunch of trades in between, but then the last major trades, long from the low, short from the top. Can't ask for anything more, but when we take a look at that liquidation heat map, that liquidity is sitting below our low here from March 29th, right? Very close to that 786. So you can start to see there's a little bit of a, we're sitting here and I'm like, I do like this 786 to get topped. We have some liquidity, right? And it's not the most significant, hot spot of liquidity on the heat map. It's not like super, it's not like a big, giant, yellow, orange spot, but it is sitting there. So we know we have liquidity down below. We know we have the 786. I can't guarantee that's going to get taken, but I would prefer that personally. So whether you wanted to, I'm not here to tell you the exact setups or anything like that, but whether you wanted to maybe start. Again, not a trade. I'm not telling you to do this, but not financial advice. But you got to be careful here because if you are in a long position, you could potentially come down and sweep out those lows. In which case, you just want to give yourself a little bit of room below that 786 because again, if you're going to wait for that level to get hit, 786 is a high probability level to get tapped. You have that liquidity also acting as a magnet, sucking price down. So it doesn't mean necessarily that if you come in there, you're going to nuke down to zero. But it could just give you a little bit of volatility down there. And this is where a lot of people get stop hunted if it decides to go seek out that liquidity. So just be careful there. Or you could just potentially wait to get in at the lower price. The trade-off there is maybe it doesn't go down there. And it's really hard, right? If I had all these beautiful confirmations, I would say it's not a bad idea to get in a little bit early there and just, prepare for a potential liquidity sweep by giving your stop loss a little extra room. But again, it's even on the lower time frames, you're fighting that 3-hour red dot, you're fighting that 1 hour, right? I'm sorry, fighting the 3 hour, fighting the potential 4 hour red dot coming. So just be aware of that, right? So there you go, right? You know, if we do come back down, I will be interested in sweeping out those lows, and then hopefully at that point we can get back inside the profile. And then I'm going to talk about the resistance levels above us because we have two major resistance levels if we do end up seeing some kind of a bigger retracement for a big leg up before putting in a higher time frame, lower high and lower low. This is kind of my overall thought process. Even if we get the big pumps, I do think, right, money flow on the daily is just simply looking like trash. And if you know anything about money flow, it very rarely lies. So let me come into the chat real quick before we bring up those resistance levels. Shout out to Mohammed, said, hey, Mafia, I'm holding XPL spot bag, and I'm almost at break even. Can you help with the TA? We'll try to take a look at it for you. Shout out to Lindo. Welcome in. Shout out to Lindo, says, if your weekly, monthly horizontals get tapped, are they invalidated or do you treat them like support? Typically, right, once the level is tapped, I put less emphasis on it. It's not impossible to have like, whatever. I know this isn't true, but let's just say like this is your monthly level right here. Let's say we come up. We tap the level, we come back down, then we come back up. It could potentially hold up again, but really when I put the most emphasis on those levels is when they're naked, AKA untapped, right? So like if we pull up the monthly or the next monthly level, I'll just pull up a weekly here, right? Our next weekly level is sitting right down here. So it's not like the second you touch it, it's invalidated. But I guess I'll just use this local one, right? We came down here, we had a weekly, we tapped it, right? This over the long haul, right? Like could potentially, right? Even if you bounce around on a high enough time frame, it could just look like a wick and a closure above. But if we were to get like a big breakdown here over multiple weeks or days, and then we come back up, right? Obviously, you've already lost that level. The only reason I would keep that tap level on the chart, and sometimes I do that. We'll just put like a T there for tapped weekly, meaning this has been touched as support, but now can become significant resistance. And that was I already deleted the weekly MPOC. But yeah, that's the only time I really leave the tap levels on the chart is to keep an eye on them for a potential bearish retest, because a lot of times price will break through the level, then bearishly retest, and then get a bigger breakdown. But as far as like keeping the levels on there long term, like if I had a tap monthly from down here, if we go down to test that, I'm not really looking at that as a significant level. I would say as a basic rule of thumb, once it's tapped and price moves away from it, I usually just take that level off. It's no longer really valid to me. So there you go. 63K next, or are we just going to slice down to 60K? But we'll have to see what happens underneath this volume profile, Indian Martini. Again, you do have the 200-week moving average currently coming in around 62K. That's going to be a major level to watch. Maybe we come down and sweep out that low into 62K. Again, we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But I would say, personally, I want to see what happens at this value area low. I always, prefer a deviation below the value area low with bullish confirmations to then take the trade, get in early before you get above the value area low, and then you have a nice low entry for a potential rotation back up to your key levels. But we'll see, right? Like from a horizontal perspective, we'll just pull up all our horizontal levels. I'll take off everything else, right? When we look at these major key levels, monthly MPOCs, right? We got a daily MPLC down here at like 64, 64K. So when we look at the horizontal levels, I'll even take this off because this is way tapped. There's not a lot here, right? Of course, the volume profile gives you a level. You have the 786, and you have some horizontal levels in here that we're playing with right now. But if we lose this zone, right, like the next level would be around 64K. And then below that, right, again, we lose that value area low. I'll just pull it up for context here, right? We lose that value area low and can't hold on top of that daily MPOC. At that point, there is really nothing underneath us. 786 has been lost. Daily MPOC has been lost. We could not get accepted into the upper value. At that point, I have to expect, this is why I say when we lose that zone, I will fully be anticipating a breakdown below 60K, targeting our next major zone of big support, sitting between about 58 and call it $54,000. We have a couple levels underneath, but we'll take it level to level here. That's that next major zone to the downside. If we can't hold this volume profile long term, again, whether that's you get a retracement before coming down or we just come down from here, this is the next big level to look at, in my opinion. And it's very clear when you look at your horizontal support, right? Like this is just the last level. Underneath that, there's literally Nothing underneath us. I guess the only thing underneath us would be the 200-day moving average, or 200-week moving average. I'm sorry. So you got some stuff to look at here. But, I would say still this is that big zone. And I've talked about this from a cycle perspective. You guys know I do see this as some kind of a more accumulation zone. Even if we do take out the lows, this could eventually take a long time to eventually take us into the next bull market. Once we see the key supports broken underneath the $54,000 level, if we have to call for 30K, we will. But until then, this is the next major level to look at, right? Step by step, level by level. If we come in here, just like what we looked at up here, right? We had that $74,000 key level of support as a major area of interest for a big bounce and a potential higher high. But once we get down there, we look at the chart, right? Oh my God, big support. This would look really good for a higher low and a continuation of the uptrend, sure, right? But once you get down there, we look at the price action, we say, oh my God, it looks like trash. No longer are we going to expect that big bounce, right? We're going to expect, and again, I like to prove myself wrong as soon as possible, because once I can prove myself wrong there, I can understand that I should hold my short from 81K and continue to profit off that move to the downside, right? So you have to be willing to switch your sentiment. It's going to be the same thing down there, right? At this point, this is going to be big support. If we get down there and it looks whatever, however it looks, right? We get down there. If the chart looks like trash, like it did here, right? Well, I'll have to say, hey guys, this isn't really looking good. It's an area of interest. It's a trap, but it's not looking very good. And at that point, if my bias is I think we're going to get a lackluster bounce for an eventual breakdown and go to 30K, we'll call for that. But until we get down there, there's no way for me to say, oh, we're going down to 30K, right? It's just too premature. We need more information. Does that make sense? And that's, a lot of people think you have to know, if we reject here, are we going to 30K? You don't need to know that, right? You can just take it step by step and make high probability decisions based off the actual analysis as you tap into those key levels. Trading is a game of trapping, not a game of hunting or predicting, right? Hard to say it's not a game of predicting, but it's like educated predictions. We're not just saying, well, reject 80K, it has to go to 30, right? Well, what if you get massive bullish signals down here? You're probably not going to want to short, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So that's my overall thought process. I'm going to come in here to give you guys a little bit more of a local view, but I do just like to check in here on the high time frames to give you guys an idea if anything major has changed. And right now, I would say with the daily money flow coming out, 2-day money flow back in the red, 3-day money flow back in the red. Until we see something change here, my anticipation has to be if that money flow crosses red, we have to look for lower highs and eventual lower lows, which could break us below 60K if we lose the key levels that I just mentioned. Shout out to Theo Rodriguez. Don't forget to smash that like button. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Let's do it, Mafia. We can do it. Let's see. Shout out to Syntax. Said 60K next. Basically zero next. Yeah, if we lose this support, guys, we're going to zero. But no, yeah, 60K. That's just going to be the below 60K would really be the anticipation there. I wouldn't necessarily, unless you get some kind of an SFP or major fake out below 60K, right? I don't know. Maybe you see some kind of, maybe you see some kind of like major liquidation and then you get like a giant daily SFP there. Like maybe that could be a big sign. But yeah, I wouldn't really necessarily be looking at this as major support. Why is that? Well, the major support's down here. So it would have to break below 60K. I would not be looking at that 60K wick as like support, right? Directly. I would look for a pullback into the support and then a reclaim of that. That will be an important level to reclaim on the way back up. If that ends up looking on a daily or a higher time frame, like a big SFP, well, that might start to look pretty bullish, especially if it happens on a weekly bullish divergence. So we'll see what happens. But I do, let me come back in the chat here real quick, and then we'll pull up the local price action, which we will be looking at through the lens of our lower previous volume profile. This is our previous value, right? Just like the larger volume profile, get accepted into the value area high, POC is next, lose the POC, down to the low, and you can see from this perspective, we are deviating below this value area low, right? So I'll just give you this range before I jump back into chat. Value area low sits at $66,234. POC sits at $67,892. Value area high sits at $71,000. $356. So that's going to be kind of the local context I'm looking at. Doesn't invalidate the larger macro range, but when we're trying to make sense of what's going on here on the lower time frames, and if we do get a significant bounce here, where can we look for lower highs and lower lows? This is going to come in handy in a big way. Let's see. Peter Schiff, the Bitcoin genius, told us 4K BTC. Oh my God. I think he was calling for like crazy lower prices in 2022, which obviously didn't get hit. Possible short squeeze? Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a massive drop down like this, and we could try to take a look at the order flow in a second, but yeah, I mean, you're always going to have, I mean, very oftentimes on these big drops down, like my short, or our short from the premium Discord, is obviously after the big rise up. We longed the bottom, rode it into massive resistance, and then took the short at the top as price is coming up, right? At this point, like I said yesterday, even if you continue down, this is not a place where I'm looking for a fresh short position, right? If I'm not in profit, from up here, or even on like a retracement like this, shorting on the push up, this is just, in my opinion, too late. It doesn't mean price won't continue down. It doesn't mean you can't trade a breakout, but in my opinion, it's just like at that point, it's like I missed the majority of the move. So I'm just happy sitting in my shorts and then just waiting for a retracement, maybe to add to them. And I am also, obviously, I am holding my short position from here. Profits locked in. Still got about 6,000 unrealized. And I'm also holding two of my swing shorts from 98K. This one has a bunch of profit locked in as well, obviously, as we are way below $98,000. This still has almost $12,000 in unrealized profit. I don't have my other exchange open, but that one is up about like 12,000. I'm going to hold these, right? I'm kind of just like holding these because, again, if we wind up getting a rip above, once we start coming up here, I'll just get stopped out in the profit I already have locked in. But at this point, I'm going to kind of hold these, and if we break down below the lows, I will start to take, mostly start closing out those shorts, a majority of those shorts, maybe just close them in full. But that's kind of my plan for those longer swing shorts from up here, is to wait for the bigger breakdown and then start to lock in some more profits. But again, I'm not just gambling on that, going to lose all my money or make a bunch of money, right? Even if it comes back up and ends up stopping me out, I'm still going to make money because I've locked in those profits. Very, very important. You have to pay yourself along the way. Let's see here. Oh, shout out to the Godfather, the real Godfather, guys. My dad is in the chat right now. Say what's up to him. A lot of you guys think he might be Satoshi. He sold his Bitcoin higher than I did. Higher than I did. Can you believe that? This man buys the bottoms and sells the tops of the Bitcoin cycles like I've never seen before. He got out literally, I think, almost at the exact top. And Dad, if you're still in the chat, do you want to let people know, are you really Satoshi, or is it just a big rumor? I'm under a lot of heat for that. Everybody wants to know your strategy. Everybody wants to know what you look at to sell. And I have a hard time. I always say that he just kind of follows the cycles. Is Dad long or short? Dad does not leverage trade Bitcoin, but he does invest long term. And yeah, got it at the bottom, literally sold the top. I don't believe he has started to buy back in yet. I am partially exposed. Again, as you guys know, I use a dynamic dollar cost average strategy, right? So I am partially exposed with some of my capital here. If we continue down, I will continue to weighted dollar cost average on the way down. But the fact that he's still out of the market kind of makes me think, maybe I should just do what he does. Shout out to my dad. Show him some love in the chat. How much is your dad? Like if you wanted to buy him? I don't know. My dad told me he's going to come out with a course. You can buy his course. Oh, shout out to my dad. Mr. Candle's dad, are we going higher or lower? I have a suspicion he thinks we're probably going lower. Let's see. I'm ready for the next capitulation into sideways summer. Hopefully you are as well. Got to come up with fun summer content. Yeah, oh my God. If we just get the summer sideways price action, guys, it's going to be brutal. I mean, we'll have the lower time frames to trade, but as far as... and again, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of my thought process here, bring up those major levels of support again. What do we got? The weekly, and then we have a monthly, and then we have the 2021 value area. Biggest macro high time frame targets to look at down below. I would say $58,000 to $54,000. Once we get accepted below the previous bull market value area high, at that point, the highest probability stop for Bitcoin will likely be the point of control of the range. at this point, right, this is really the level that I do not want to lose. If we end up losing that POC, guys, or even if we like get down in here, and again, I won't know what price action is going to look like till we get down there. There's two ways that this could play out. We could get down here, put in some massive bottom confirmations on the weekly. In that case, it may look very good. If it does not look like that and it looks like trash, and we end up melting through these levels, and we get stuck inside this volume profile, and the charts do not look good. Money flow is coming out. We don't have any bullish confirmations. This is going to make me suspicious. Exactly what just like we looked at to predict the rotation through this volume profile. This is the same thing, but just on a way bigger scale, right? Once you get below the value area high, POC is next. If we can't get out of the value area high, this would be the major level you have to break above in order to kind of switch the bearish bias to bullish. But as long as you remain below that value area high, the next target, doorway to the POC is open. Once you lose that POC, guys, that is where that those low 30s will come into play. As soon as I see the signs to make that the base case, I will. But I just won't know. I literally won't be able to call for that until we get down here and see what price action looks like. Otherwise, I'm just making I could say, you guys, 30K incoming, and then we get down here, there's massive bullish signals. I mean, I guess I could do that, but then I would just have to switch my sentiment to bullish, from bearish to bullish, right? So, hopefully we can get an optimistic reaction down here. If not, yikes. I really hope that doesn't happen because I hate coming in here and talking about, I think at this point, if I were to say 30K incoming, I think more people want to hear that for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't really take that into account. I just talk about what the charts are doing, which is done me very well financially trading, and does the Mafia well and the channel well for when we're calling for these high probability moves. If I just went with, if I ignored the charts every time, we'd be wrong time and time and time again, which obviously isn't good. Let's hear a dad joke. All right. My dad said November is the month. All right. Well, he's waiting for November. We'll see what happens. Guys, by the way, my dad is also not a financial advisor. So make your own financial decisions. We got to get my dad a YouTube channel. But yeah, 4-year cycle means down, down, down. Yeah, and like I've covered in the past, guys, like if you just want to cover, if you're just looking at the 4-year cycle alone, right? Which again, I always tell people, like, I don't think you're crazy if you're just looking for that to play out, right? A lot of people are expecting the 70+% correction, which would bring you down, close to about $30,000, right? And then, of course, you guys know I don't take the 4-year cycle as just gospel alone. But at that point, right, like your plan should be very easy, right? You just sit on your hands. You're not worried about any of this. You don't even care. You could set an alert or just mark it off on your calendar. October, November would be about the time where you would expect. Is this my cycle chart? Where's my cycle chart? I think this is a shared chart. Did I close out my cycle chart? Dang. All right. Well, let me pull up Bitstamp here real quick. Of course, you can just wait, right? It doesn't matter what Bitcoin does right now. You just wait until November, October to start to buy, which obviously, time and time again, cycle-wise, has been pretty accurate, right? Which is why I say you're not crazy if you're looking for that. But there are things on the chart that are pointing to that not being the highest probability, right? And I just have to take that stuff into account. It doesn't mean that the chart has to play out, but I always say it's the same thing at the top, right? There, from a cycle perspective, the timing lined up very well, but everybody's got those higher targets. Once I see the signals on the chart, that is going to be I have to take that into account, right? Everyone talking about they're going to print money and it's going to moon. Like, yes, that could be true, right? But once you start seeing those massive bearish confirmations, I don't care about those narratives, whether it's a cycle narrative, whether it's a timing narrative, whether it's a macroeconomic narrative. Once I see those signs on the chart, I did not think that the top was coming in here just because of the timing, right? I thought the top was coming in because the timing lined up as well as massive bearish confirmations. If we had these massive bearish confirmations and the timing was not lining up, I would still have just listened to the bearish confirmations on the chart. And that's kind of the situation we're coming into right now. That's why I say if we come down to the 50s and the 40s and we start to put in, I'll just make it very simple, massive weekly bullish divergences, however they decide to form, that would be something on the chart that we're seeing that could be marking a major, major bottom. In that case, sure, does it totally invalidate 100% that you're not going to go down to 30K? Not necessarily, but I have to, sure, cycle could play out. But you also, at the same time, two things could be true at the same time. Just like up here. Yes, if they print money, we can go higher. Yes, if whatever it is, if the whatever the crazy narrative is, could it go higher? Yes. But you have to also identify and understand that at the same time you're seeing massive bearish signs on the chart. If I was not paying attention to that, guys, we would have totally fumbled the top here, which we did not do simply because of the bearish confirmations. So it's going to be, I have to treat it the same way on the way down. So if I see those confirmations, right, well, at that point, I would say, hey, yes, could you go down to 30K and just follow the traditional cycle? Of course. But at the same time, you're seeing massive bullish confirmations, right? I have a long-term plan if we go down to 30K, and I also have the long-term plan, which, again, I won't be able to adjust until I see what happens down here. I have a plan for either direction, right? So if we don't hold up at these lower levels of support and we lose 47K and nuke down to 30, I'm not going to be totally wrecked. I have a plan to continue to weighted dollar cost average. That's why I like the dynamic dollar cost averaging, right? Because when you first start to, it's the same thing in 2022. We get the big capitulation. I start to dollar cost average into the market with small money. And then as we continue down, I drop heavier bags. And then once I see that weekly bull div, I'm saying, hey, this looks like the bottom's in. A lot of people calling for 8K. A lot of people calling for 5K. A lot of people saying, fill the CME gap at $4. But at that point, right, the chart is not saying that. So I take that into account. And listen, if we went down to 12 to 14K, I would have continued to the dollar cost average in. The goal here with the long-term bags is not to sit on my hands and put all of my money in at the bottom. Right? My goal is to dollar cost average on the way down, because if you're just going to be, if you were just waiting for 8K here, what is the situation? You have to understand this could happen this cycle, right? If you're waiting for whatever the lower target is and the weekly bull divs print, the chart says it's going up, all of a sudden those targets are no longer as high probability. So then you're forced to start buying and maybe dollar cost averaging, maybe just buying a full bag on the way up. And at that point, you're going to miss the big portion of the move. So I would rather not get a perfect pinpoint bottom entry. And I always say this, my entry down here was not at $15,000. It was at like $20,000, $21,000. When we go into the bull market, I don't care. And there's a lot of psychology that goes into this. I don't care up at 126K that my entry wasn't $15,000. I don't care that it was at 21. I don't care. And on a lower time frame, you're going to think, oh my God, I bought here and then we dumped. I'm wrecked. You have to have a long-term outlook, right? So that's the kind of best information I can give you and on how I'm going to be handling this on the way down. As soon as that 30K target becomes very high probability, which again, I do think there's an argument for both sides, I'll bring that into account. Once the charts are screaming for that, I'll have to come up here and say that. I have no other choice. The chart is my boss. CME gap at $4 is too funny. Yeah, I mean, they literally, a lot of people do call for it. Now, listen, CME gaps are very high probability to get filled. But it doesn't mean if you have a CME gap, sitting down here, it's like, oh, man, one day we're going to fill that CME gap. It doesn't work like that. Shout out to Tony D in the chat. Tony said, I'd hire him to manage my finances. I might do that. His fees are high, man. My dad's fees are high. I asked him if he would just manage my stock investments, and he wanted to take 80% of the profits, which is crazy, man. I mean, you'd think I'd get the family discount. Insane. I'm just kidding, guys. Yeah, Bitcoin goes to $300. I'll be like a 7-figure coiner. I'll have 1 million Bitcoin. And even if it goes to 0, I'll just wear that like a trophy. But anyway, there we go. So let's go into the lower time frames. Bitcoin continuing down here. Come on, baby. Push it. All right, so let's cover the local time frames and the major key levels of resistance, because, again, if that money flow is going to continue out on the daily and we're going to look for lower highs, where are we going to be looking for those lower highs? Let's talk about it. Going for that 786. But let's see here. All right, so biggest levels of resistance. I have them marked off in a folder here. And number one, right, now this is a lower, more local volume profile. This is not the same macro profile that we were looking at, right? Of course, this profile is still going to come into play if we get massive moves up. But as we play around with this local price action, I want to break this down into more bite-sized pieces. So we're going to look at that previous value. At this point, we've gotten the rejection from the value area high, the acceptance into the range, the high probability move to the POC and the value area low, and now we're getting the deviation below. So if we do end up getting the bounce here, get accepted it back into our profile, the biggest levels of resistance, in my opinion, I'm going to start here with kind of the bigger levels. Very simple, right? If you view this as a volume profile, If we can get back inside the volume profile, push into the POC, right? Reclaim that value area low. Hopefully, if we see that, we can get, money flow starting to cross into the green. 1 hour money flow crosses green. We can look for that 16-hour green dot to print. Doesn't look like it's going to set up on this green dot, so you may have to kind of endure a little bit of choppiness down there. But at the end of the day, if we can get those confirmations, we can start to see medium time frame money flow start to cross back into the green, which honestly doesn't look very good right now. Money flow continuing out into the red on the 4 hour. But let's just say, money flow aside, if we did get accepted back into the range, POC sitting at $67,892. That would be a local, right, inside of a volume profile move. POC is typically the first take profit level. Once you get above the POC, you have the high probability opportunity to get a full fill of that volume profile into the value area high. This is where the first major level of resistance comes in. Sits between, obviously, you have your golden pocket 786 retracement, value area high, right? So you have that magnetic rotation of the volume profile. And you also have a daily naked point of control sitting in there. It's really your only daily MPOC above, so you do have confluence there. You also have your anchored VWAP pulled from the $78,000 high. So you have anchored VWAP, daily MPOC, golden pocket, 786, value area high. 5 levels of confluence. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to go up there, but what it does mean is if we do get up there, that is always going to be a stacked confluent level that I'm interested in looking for rejections, whether that's going to, again, I won't know what money flow looks like, but this is going to be the first major level to look for a lower high and a potential lower low. And again, I don't know if we're going to get that full retracement. This would be very nice. You have a lot of confluence. You have a lot of things lining up there. You kind of have, multiple arrows pointing towards that level. Anchored VWAP. You just have, how many reasons do you have to look for a short here? Not just set a limit order, right? But to look for bearish confirmations to look for a short, right? These confluent levels of resistance have a high probability of a reaction, even if it doesn't give you the lower high, right? All these major, you just think of them as walls of resistance. If you have a brick wall, if you have a wooden wall and then a brick wall behind it, and then, carbon fiber wall. If you just have multiple levels, multiple walls stacked up, right, it's going to be a stronger wall. So even if it doesn't give you the lower high, there's going to be a high probability, especially if you see those confirmations, to get some kind of a pullback. And then as that pullback happens, you can look at the money flow to identify, well, hey, is there a high probability of that lower low coming in? Which, of course, we won't know until we get up there. But this 100% is going to be the biggest level of resistance above. 72,238 to 70,669. Very simple. If we get above that and we start to break out of that value area, right, maybe we don't get confirmations, or to be fair, maybe we have the confirmations and we just get stopped out of the short. At that point, break above this 786. This 786 is pulled from this high right here. At that point, once you get above the 786, highest probability, in my opinion, is to take out these highs. And this gets interesting because when we start to look at where the liquidity sits right now, I'll pull it up here. Where's it at? We do have a decent bit of liquidity sitting above these highs. Now, it is far away, right? This doesn't really start to act as a strong magnet until we get closer and closer to it. But if we pull up the liquidation heat maps, sitting right above these highs, above equal highs, liquidity resides. And you can see it there on the heat map. So if we're able to get that rotation through the profile, again, major area for me to be looking for a rejection. But if we are able to eventually get above that 786, at that point, I would love to come up and sweep out that liquidity above these highs at about $74,211. You have the liquidity. You also have a golden pocket, 2 daily MPOCs in between that 786. So this would be the next major level of resistance. Now, what else do we have sitting at $76,000? Now, this is obviously a very big level, not just because it's the golden pocket 786, not just because you have the liquidity, but also because when we turn off our lower profile and we turn on the macro profile, this is that big, big level we talked about throughout this entire range. That is the level you have to get above, right? I would not be expecting a potential for a higher high to come in, meaning breaking the highs here at 83K until we come up, right? And whether you look at this from the macro profile perspective, I just think looking at this broken into 2 profiles is much easier, because when you're looking at this like on the day, it's a lot simpler to be like, okay, deviate above the value area, rejection, get back in. We have an opportunity to rotate back down. If we get above that, I will turn that range off. I will turn on the macro range, and say, hey, because when you look at it through here, it's just kind of like a random golden pocket 786 within the range. If we get above that 786, at that point, the higher time frame profile, get above the POC, right? Let's just say we get above that resistance. At that point, you're above the POC of the macro range. You're out of your local profile. The highest probability area for price to gravitate to or towards is going to be towards specifically the value area high at about $76,000-ish. And you have the liquidity sitting there, golden pocket, 786, daily MPLC, and this is still, depending on what our money flow looks like on the higher time frames, going to be kind of that big level. On the way down here, as I said, I cannot flip bullish, right? As long as you remain below this value area high, I have to anticipate the drop to the value area low. Obviously played out perfect. In the same way, right, breaking above these levels is going to be the big thing that would give us an opportunity to potentially start talking about, you still have some resistance above, but that's really, getting above here is really the only time where I'd be anticipating, hey, maybe money flow's coming up. Maybe we could start looking for a higher low. I do think, based on money flow right now, this is the lower probability scenario. I do not think this is the high probability here, right? I'm not going to take a long here and expect it to go above this high. Why? Money flow on the daily is coming out, clearly indicating a continuation of a downtrend, which is why I bring up these major resistance levels and say, if I'm going to be looking, money flow makes me think lackluster bounce, lower high, lower low. Where am I going to be looking for those lower highs and lower lows? Bing, bong. Theoretically speaking, right? Or strategically speaking. So there you go. And we also do have some other local liquidity. Whoops. Let me go ahead and hide the macro range. Take this off. Whoops. Take this off. Come on. Take this off. Take this off. So, high time frame, right? Like maybe we get like a big old retracement. Still not going to get too excited, right? Maybe we just, hopefully this, guys, this is another thing you could see happen, right? This could be the summer lull, right? This would be so brutal, man. Oh, man. I hope that's not the case. But for now, I'm going to be watching. We'll pull up the liquidity, all the liquidity levels here. We also do have a local level here, right? If we don't get the full rotation through this range, of course, POC is going to be a major level of resistance. You have some liquidity sitting above these highs. I'm looking at this as like a scalp opportunity. Could potentially get a rejection there. Hold inside the range. If you could stay inside the volume profile, you'll have an opportunity to get the bigger fill. But, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to this. I'd be looking at this on a very low time frame. But overall, this is your volume profile. Your goal right now is if we do come down more, whether we hit the 786, let me pull that back up. Whoo, she's getting close. Whether we hold that 786, get back into the range, that opens the door to the POC, flip the POC, opens the door to the high. That's where your first major resistance is. Very simple. Unless you're scalping, looking for like micro scalps, this would be kind of the next major area for me to be paying attention to potentially, enter some new shorts, looking for the lower low, or potentially add to the short position that I'm already holding. Does that make sense? Just to clean it up, I'll give you the numerical values here. Let me just hide these anchored VWAPs. Take the volume profiles off the chart to make it nice and simple. Zone number one, 70,000, call it 70,700 to 72,238. Second zone, which again, I think there's a lower probability of coming up here, but it is a more important. There's the 786, baby. There it is. Somebody's watching the beginning of the stream right now, hearing me talk about that 786 getting tapped, and then watching it get tapped in real time. But those are the two major resistances. Much bigger, more important resistance. I think it's a lower probability we get all the way up there, though. If we get some kind of significant retracement, this is going to be the biggest level to watch. So there we go. And let me just pull up this low here. $64. Hang on one sec. $650. Definitely not doing anything over here, guys. Bear with me for 1 second. I could hear the murmuring in the chat. All right, let's see here. Just looking at exo charts here real quick. I'm not going to narrate this because I would literally have to give like a full masterclass on what I'm looking at. I'm not going to do this live. Try to walk you guys through what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for high volume. I want high negative delta. Let me see the open interest. Yeah, so longs potentially getting squashed here a bit. Early longs. See how this candle develops. Can we start funneling in some shorts here? Come on, short the bottom. Short the bottom. Come on. So, yeah, there's your level hit. Only thing I will mention is if you look at this on log, it does drop a little bit lower, which you could argue is the valid fib to look at, just based on this kind of long-term big move. Let's check the 15-minute. Man, look at this money flow, man. Just been in the red. Just no shot for retracements up there. Let's see if we can get a little 15-minute bull div here. Silence. Yeah, not 4-hour red dot printing yet. Yeah, man. It's real. Kind of sucks. Because it's like, even if you get those low time frame confirmations, this 4-hour red dot is just looming. It's looming here. So like I said, I mean, even with the deviation below the range, take a look here. Pull up that fib again. Yeah. Just got to be real careful around that value area low. It's that 4-hour red dot prints. Like, it'd be super nice if you had a 15-minute bull div here with your money flow coming up and a 4-hour green dot looking to print. Does that make sense? Because you're just like fighting these medium time frame red dots, like the 3-hour, right? And that's why I said in the beginning of the stream, right? Like sitting right, well, I guess we were like somewhere right here, or maybe like right here. A little suspicious of not continuing down, right? Like, you know, could you get a bounce from here? Sure. You know, you have the 1-hour bullish divergence, which was not printing yet. But, you know, you got the key level down there. And then, again, you're fighting that 3-hour red dot, which ends up being the right decision. So you kind of just have the same scenario there, but you're just fighting that 4-hour red dot. Let's take this golden pocket off. And if you had the 15-minute bull div, right, with a 4-hour green dot looking to print, right, well, then not only would you have a 4-hour 15-minute entry confirmation, but you would also have that medium time frame market cipher B 1/16 bullish setup. But it's just not setting up. Doesn't mean that you can't bounce. It would be much more of a clean kind of move. Let's check the 90 and the 80-minute. Let's check the low time frames. Maybe a little 5-minute bull div there. Yeah. I mean, I wish it was it's not really perfect, to be honest. Again, doesn't mean you don't need, you know, every single thing to line up. Sometimes you just got to take the trade, but yeah, I mean, save me up here. I mean, not save me, but save me a little bit of hassle. Right, 2-hour bull div. Yeah, it might just need to hang out down here a little bit. Confirm the 2-hour bull div. So, of course, you could always wait for confirmation. But, yeah, I mean, this would be super nice. If we can get this, I would love to add some more shorts up here. Let me come into the chat here real quick. Little single prints. You could pop through those real quick. Yeah, shorts probably taking profit there as well. So we're not seeing a ton of shorts open here, which would be nice. We'll see. People love to short the moves down. If I started to see a bunch of shorts funneling in here, that would say to me that there is getting a lot of liquidity being put above, giving us an opportunity for a big short squeeze, right? Because here you can see longs closing, right? People longing early, getting stopped out, or just closing their trades. And then on the way back down, right, shorts start to funnel in, puts the liquidity above, and then we can look for a little bit of a squeeze to the upside. But I'm not really seeing a significant negative delta here. See if we can pop through those single prints. Let me come into the chat here real quick. There go the single print. Boop. There she goes. Had a big losing streak last year. I have struggled to take trades since. Gutted watching this short play out, knowing I didn't get it. There you go. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's something to say to not be too worried about missed opportunity, right? Missed opportunity is none of your business, right? At that point, I could potentially be saying, even though I'm holding a short from up here, I could have been saying, oh, I could have opened another short here. I could have opened another exchange and opened another short here and another short here, right? But at that point, like, you're not going to catch every single move. That's a really dangerous mindset to be in, which probably makes you feel better because you don't have to really, I would recommend not really stretching out too much about missing a move, right? There's always going to be another move. There's always going to be another setup. So keep that in mind. Should we fire on this a little bit? I just hate this because I don't want people to copy trade me because, again, this is not really the perfect setup. But, again, with me beautifully hedged on all my shorts and after crushing the long from 66K, I can afford to take a few small losses. I actually did take a small loss yesterday. I didn't mention this, guys. I do like to talk about my losses and not just my wins, right? I don't win every single trade. Nobody can win every single trade. Especially if you want to be a trader, you have to understand that. Anyone out there saying they win every single trade, they're completely lying to you. It does not exist. But I did take a long position, small risk, got stopped out. Kind of the same thing as the long that I took up here. Kind of knew I was going to get stopped out or had a I had a hunch, right? So I took a small loss there, took another small loss there, but of course that's nothing compared to the profits that I made on the shorts on the way down, and of course with the profit that I made here. It's very small chunks, right? Small losses, big wins. So let's see, is that 15-minute bull div printing? There it is. I'm not going to say whether or not I'm taking this trade because do not copy trade anybody. It's not going to work. Trading's not that easy, and I have like a moral conflict with this. But I can afford to take losses. I'm not saying if I am or not taking a trade, but yeah, maybe not. Does anybody know how much leverage he puts on his positions? Shout out to Sofiane. I don't know how to say your name. There is no one leverage to use, right? If to learn more about leverage, go to the beginner series and watch. I think the title of the video is like the only leverage trading tutorial you need. It'll explain how you should use leverage, right? What should determine your leverage, how leverage affects your position size, your margin, etc., and how I personally use leverage. It also teaches you leverage trading. You can turn leverage trading into gambling. 100%. But leverage trading does not need to be gambling. That is a choice that the trader makes. But I basically teach you in that video how to responsibly use leverage. People will be like, well, if you use leverage, you're going to get liquidated, right? Well, you can only get liquidated if you allow your liquidation level to get hit, right? Which you can stop with a stop loss. So go watch that video. It'll give you all the information you need to know how I calculate my position sizes and my leverage. And it'll give you, there's no like one leverage that you would use. Sometimes you'll see me in a 10x leverage trade. Sometimes you'll see me in an 80x leverage trade. The 10x leverage trade and the 80x leverage trade does not necessarily mean that the 80x leverage trade is more risky. It just means I had a tighter entry, right? Well, more of a sniper entry with a tighter stop loss. So go watch that video. It's totally free. Watch the whole beginner series, honestly. It'll teach you from knowing nothing about trading to having a really good idea and a good grasp of what we look at here on the live streams. It'll help you execute on the information that we teach here. Thank you for the comprehensive answer, mate. No problem. That's what we do here. Pump incoming. I mean, right now, I would be very cautious around that value area low. But you did get your little 15-minute bull div. But you do have things going against this, right? I would be okay, or am okay, taking a risk here. Because if it gets stopped out here, let's take another loss, right? That'll be 3 losses in a row. Oh, my God, right? But I just had 2. I had 1 massive winner on the long, and I am in a massive win on the shorts. So, again, now I get some confirmation. I'm at a key level. F it. Sometimes you just got to take it. Yeah, shout out to E-Rock says, the only thing that leverage really affects for me is how many trades I can have open at once. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, right? Like, even if you jack up your leverage after you're in a winning position, by raising that leverage, you free up some more capital, right? You'll free up your margin, right? Because the lower leverage, the more of your money you have to put on the trade. The higher the leverage, the more money you're borrowing from the exchange. So, yeah, if you raise your leverage, right, you're going to be able to use less of your actual capital, keeping that capital free for maybe other trades. Maybe you want to hedge with a short later on. You want to have some capital available. Maybe you want to trade an altcoin. You need some money left to take the trade on the altcoin. In that case, leverage can free up some of that capital. So we're starting to get a little bit of a bounce here, right from the 786. Only thing is, I just don't really see a ton of shorts coming in here, which would greatly increase the chance of a big squeeze. I don't see that. But a nice little bounce there from the 786. Nice little 1% move. The only thing that makes me suspicious here, right, if I get stopped out, I will say that 4-hour red dot probably going to be the thing to do it. Like even the 15-minute money flow not really scooting up here very aggressively. Little 30-minute bull div there as well. And, of course, you did get the SFP of the major low that we looked at just in the beginning of the stream, right? And I hope you guys are able to see this and learn, right? In the beginning of the stream, and we don't always get beautiful moves like this on the stream, but when did I start the stream here? Like hanging out right here, right? 786 is just below. Right? And again, it doesn't mean you can't take a trade here and have a lower stop loss. That's totally fine as well. But it is suspicious of that key level getting tapped with the liquidity down below. And I wouldn't say this is like a beautiful SFP. I would have liked a bigger wick there. But you get the SFP. You have the bull divs. There you go. Into a key level. Chances are you're going to get some kind of a bounce. I just have a little bit of a sneaking suspicion that this is not going to be super sustainable for a long period of time. But we'll see. Right now, I would say the local context is if we do continue up, I'll just pull this local fib. Already pushing into that golden pocket, almost. So this is going to be local resistance. That 4-hour red dot does want to print. Could be there. But at the end of the day, right, the biggest level to get above right now is going to be the value area low, sitting at 66,234. So if we can continue up, got to flip that. In that case, we can start to look up towards that POC. And then again, maybe that's going to be, hopefully, the start of a bigger move up towards the value area high. I'm suspicious of that happening from here, to be honest, even though I may or may not have just longed it. Howdy, Frankie. How are you? Still keeping your short open? Yes, I have 3 shorts open right now. Shout out to Subby? I don't know how to say your name. I apologize. Says, bro, make us hype again. Shouting out all the let's go. Please, bro. We need the encouragement. Come on. We'll have to pull up the 1-second chart. We'll have to pull up that 1-second chart. I know Rudy with a Y loves that. Let's take a look at the 1 second here. Oh, my God, guys. Oh, my God. Big dump on the 1 second. Oh, my God. Is she going to hold? Getting a move back up here. 1 hour money, 1 second money flow in the red here. Is the trend going to continue down? Just start the auctioneer price action narration. I love those little hints. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I really don't. Oh, in the 1 minute, 1 second money flow keeps the low time frame trend. Oh my God, big dump. I'm cooked. Which volume profiles am I looking at right now? This is your local profile. You can see these white numbers. That's the value area high, the POC, and the value area low. Lindo, this is Lindo. You're in the premium, right? This is on my chart. Lower support. It is this volume profile that I'm going to be looking at locally. But yeah, the two things that make me a little suspicious of this actually being the significant low is, number one, you got the SFP. Confirmation was there. Sometimes you got to take it. You have the 15-minute bull divs. I would look at this as a low time frame bounce as of right now. But still a little bit of liquidity below, on top of the fact that your logarithmic Fibonacci, or your 786 is still sitting a bit below here, and that I would like a little bit better because it is confluent with the daily MPOC. And then once we lose this, like, this is your last chance to bounce. Basically what we've looked at, right, on the macro, the macro volume profile, right? Deviations below the volume profile are totally fine, right? Even if we have to play around, that's totally fine. You could still potentially get accepted in. Once we lose this daily MPOC 786, guys, that is where I think the big dump happens. Only thing you have underneath you at that point, and I'm actually going to mark this off. I don't always look at moving averages like this, but when it comes to something like a 200-week moving average coming into play here, it is definitely going to be an area that I am interested in. This comes in at about 62.4. Or no, I'm sorry. This is the 100-week. Hang on. Let me get this off the chart. Let's pull up our other. I like this indicator. No affiliation with this, but just shows you your, yeah, there it is. Yeah, so about 62K. Oh, no, it's the 2-week. That's why it was off. There we go. About 62K. Actually, I don't have to mark it off because this will show it on the lower time frames. So we'll see here. Yeah, I mean, I would say if I were to draw this as a massive zone of support, right? Entry is always difficult, right? Sometimes you get an earlier entry, sometimes you'll snipe the bottom, but this is essentially your big support. Once you lose 63,771, 200-day moving average, I mean, that's pretty much the only thing you have underneath you. There's no horizontal levels, nothing like that. And even if we do get down there, get a little bounce off the 200-week, at that point, it's all eyes on this support flipping into resistance. Because if you can't get back in here, that's where the 60K, below 60K drop comes in my opinion. Be nice to get a little bounce here. Major level to get above there. So fighting that value area low. Will she hold? Man, if this 4-hour green dot, if this was not going to be a red dot and this was going to be a 4-hour green dot, I would have pretty high conviction in this bounce from that 15-minute bull div. All right, because you want multiple things pointing in the right direction. You have your 15-minute bull div finally printing, right? If this money flow was coming up with a 4-hour green dot, not only would you have the 15-minute bullish divergence / SFP as a beautiful entry confirmation, but you would also have that medium time frame context that if that 4-hour green dot prints and that 15-minute money flow crosses into the green, this would be a high probability trend continuation to the upside. You just kind of have that 4-hour stepping on you there a little bit. And who knows, right? Maybe the 4-hour red dot fakes out. Maybe this VWAP gets support. Some people say, well, what if you don't know? At some point, you have to take the risk, right? I'm taking a risk. I mean, yeah, I'm taking a risk here, right? If I lose, I'll take a small loss. Not a big deal. Yeah, stuck under the previous value area low. Yep, we're going to see if we can reclaim that. Yo, shout out to Al Jr. said, so is this thing planning to stop going down? Huh. Maybe time to pawn my trailer. Shout out to Al Jr. A lot of liquidity at 67K. Let's take a look at the low time frame liquidation heat map. All right, this is the 1 month. Let's take a look at the 1 week here and see what we have above us. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. We appreciate the live streams here and the free education. And I will also bring up the, this is local liquidity above. This was the, this is also the point of control of the range. So that does line up. This was the, I actually have this marked off on the chart. Where is it? right there, right? So that liquidity is sitting above. So maybe we go out and seek out this liquidity. We're not super close to it just yet, so not something to get too excited about just yet. But you can see it there on the heat map. There's your liquidity. So yeah, we'll see if we can get the draw towards that liquidity. Closer we get, the stronger that magnet becomes. And another thing I want to bring up here, guys, is again, not only is my high time frame bias for the continuation down based off the money flow here, right? And I will just make this super simple for you. When I want a continuation up, when we call for the beautiful move from 66 to 82K, there's a reason we call for that. We took the long at the value area low, money flow is coming up, right? So I guess this is a good way to explain it. Why do I not think there's a high probability of this being a massive move up, right, to fill that volume profile in full? Well, you have your money flow fighting against you. Here, we took the long, and money flow was coming up, indicating the trend would likely continue to the upside, breaking us out of that range. That is not the case down here, at least as of right now. You would kind of be hoping for a money flow fake out, which is not typically what I like to trade. I do think that if this crosses red, right, this could be time to spend a little bit of time in the red and see a bigger continuation down. But it's not just that, right? When we pull up these massive resistance levels, right, major resistance, where I'm looking, right, money flow coming out makes me anticipate lackluster bounces for lower highs and lower lows. These are the two major places I would be looking. We use the money flow as a filter. Should I be looking for massive long positions for a massive continuation up? Oh, and would I be better off longing the lows to get in on the trend, longing the lows to get in on the trend, longing the lows to get in on the trend? Or would I be better off in this situation to short the high looking for a massive move down? Well, obviously with money flow coming up, you would not be looking for a lower high and a lower low. Why? Money flow is coming up. But in this case, money flow is coming out, lackluster bounce, lower high, lower low. And when we pull our kind of overall trend line here, I'll just kind of rough this out. You could see we have now broken this major trend line, right? 74K was really the level we wanted to hold to continue that major trend to the upside. And you can see local Fibonacci retracement and then the bigger Fibonacci retracement are both potentially keeping you under that trend line, which is why breaking above that $76,000 value area high and above this 786 could indicate, hey, we're reclaiming the trend line. I'm not a trend line trader. I just use this for kind of context. But you can see when you draw this line, you know, there's a reason to remain bearish here, not just from a money flow perspective, but just from like a structural trend line perspective as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just very simple. I know a lot of people like trend lines because they're easy to look at. Even if I were not going to be looking at my major resistance levels, my intricate resistance levels, it's like, well, hey, maybe if we get up here, we could reject and come back down. Well, do we have other levels of resistance there? Look at that. You do. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. 996 live viewers and only 1/3 likes. Guys, show my brother some love. Free education, yo. Shout out to D-Lo Gaming. I appreciate you, brother. Smash that like button, guys. If we get 550 likes, we're going to do, again, I keep saying 3 Frankie Candles hats. Is Tony D still here? If Tony D, if you're still in here, I'll let you make the call. Because Tony D handles a lot of the hat giveaways. If he's not going to be able to facilitate them, we might just have to do like a double USDT giveaway. But let's hit 550 likes. Let's do it, baby. We can do it. All right, let's see. Shout out to Natasha. Says, nice, bro. Hi from LI. Long Island? You talk about Long Island? Shout out to the motherland. Let's go. It's funny. If you're from Long Island, people just think you're from Doty, Jersey. Every time I meet someone like not from Long Island, they're like, so you're basically from Jersey? I'm like, no. Long Island's New York. Everyone just mixes it up with Jersey. Need one of them hats. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. Well, hopefully we get 550 likes, and we can do it, baby. Are you more skeptical about moves that happen outside of RTH? If you don't know what RTH is, it's regular trading hours. It doesn't play. I mean, listen. I think as a statement there, I would agree with that. Just because you have more volume during RTH, but that does not stop me. Like there are some times where I take trades at 11 p.m. right EST. So it doesn't stop me from taking a trade. Like my criteria is very simple. I have my trap set in the market. If I see the confirmations, I take the trades, right? If I see the confirmations and I have confluence headed in my same direction, I feel confident about that trade. But it's very simple. I wait for the level to get hit. If I see the confirmations, I take the trade. You will get more volume. You'll get usually the majority of the volatility during those times. So yeah, the one thing I do not really pay attention to a lot outside of RTH is things like CVD divergences and stuff like that. So it does affect the way I trade a little bit, but it's not like I'm only sitting there during RTH and then I get off the chart. Not bad if you do, but that's just the way I trade. Yo, shout out to Embrace It. I'm gonna make more accounts to inflate the likes. Let's go. Say 420 first and get all the stoners clicking it. 420, baby. I mean, we're pretty past 420. But yeah, let's get to 420. Come on, we can do it. Oh, you're from Huntington. Shout out to Natasha. That's definitely Long Island. It's funny. Maybe one day we were like in the mall and walked past each other and we had no idea. You know, like I wish there was a way you could like Google that, right? Because like there's not 0% chance. If you've ever been to any of the malls out there, and there's only a few of them. Christmas shopping, we walked past each other maybe years ago before I was even Frankie Candles. You'd have no idea. Maybe you helped me. Maybe you worked at one of those stores and helped me. Maybe I've talked to you. We have no idea. Where do you work? I don't know. Maybe you work at my dentist office. Who knows? Yeah, if you're from upstate, people say you're not from New York. Yeah, they're definitely two different things. Oh yeah, Long Island. I was talking to somebody recently, and they were like, I was talking about being from Long Island, and I was talking about like I said something about like my front yard. And they're like, wait, I thought you were from New York. You don't have yards in New York. I'm like, dude, I'm from Long Island. I'm not from the city. Bullish divergence on the 1 hour. Yeah, so this is what we looked at before. I'm gonna have to reset market cipher here. So yeah, VWAP looking at. We'll see if you can get that 1 hour bull div. That would help assist this move to the upside. And it's really crazy how you can like kind of see this stuff, right? Like 1 hour bull div not printing, a little bit of suspicious stuff. We get the push down to the, your key level underneath you. You get the push down. And now we're starting to look to print that 1 hour bull div after just magically tapping into that key level. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get that green dot on the 1 hour. We could check the 7 and the 5 minute. Again, on a lower time frame with a 1 hour bull div, I'd really like to see that money flow coming up a little bit more. This is just take a look at this for a second. I think that's the longest I've been silent on the live stream, guys. Come on. Let's do something here, man. Come on. What is this? 67K. Yeah, I mean, even looking at this, right? Like if we can get back inside this value area low and push up towards that 67K area, you got that liquidity sitting above. I think if this sustains, I think the next major target to look at here, if this bounce can be sustainable, is going to be at 67K liquidity that we have. And then once we get up there, the question is, do you sweep it and get another move down? Or can you flip the point of control and get the bigger move up to the bigger, more important resistance level up here around 70 to 71K? So if I were to just mark off local key levels of resistance here, obviously your point of control is going to be an honorable mention level. And then, of course, the value area low is going to be resistance until proven otherwise, right? So get above here. POC is likely. Sweep out that liquidity. If you get a rejection at the point of control, of course, I will be interested in potential scalp shorts here. However, you have to be careful, right? You're back inside the profile. So if you get a pullback here, the value area low becomes very important support because if you remain inside of it, it keeps the profile open. So you guys know I prefer to take shorts at the value area high and longs from the value area low. But inside the, I don't love taking trades inside the profile. If I do, I view them as scalps because I understand from a medium time frame perspective, we could stay inside this range. You could fill this in full, but it doesn't mean you can't make money on that little drop to the downside. And then, of course, right, maybe, let me bring those levels back up. Let's just draw this out, right? If I did take a short here from the SFP, right, this wouldn't be that big of a move. And depending on where you catch the actual entry, it wouldn't be that big of a move, to be honest. I probably, to be honest, would not take profit here. I would just hold this with my stop loss open. And if it decided to break down, then I would start to look for a new low. But if not, you just have to understand that anytime you're inside the profile, the value area low, when you come from below, anytime you get in here, the biggest key level of support is that value area low. Because again, the goal is to stay inside the value. As long as you stay inside here, POC is open, value area high is open. But if we just want to sweep out that liquidity and get the low, it's definitely possible. So you can take a shot there potentially, but I would just accept that I could just lose that trade. I would much prefer if we got the bigger push. I feel much more comfortable taking a confident short from up here at this level. Why? Because at that point, I'm along with my volume profile theory. I'm deviating above the high. This is where I like to take shorts. Why? It is considered expensive based on the previous value, right? And we can just come back down to this range. If you're new here, volume profiles, in my opinion, are the best way to trade. They're not the only way to trade, but in my opinion, the best after trying just about everything out there. They let you know, right? Inside, and I know this is going to be repetitive for some of the CandleMafia members, but it's important. Inside of the volume profile is considered your fair value. Buyers and sellers agree that this is a fair price. Inside of this range is a fair price. When you get to the high, it's looked at as expensive. They sell it back into the fair value. The point of control is the fairest value, right? This is the highest volume node or the strongest magnet within the profile. And this is why this strategy works so well, is because these are volume-based levels, and the volume-based levels act as magnets. Once you get above the low, right, you get a little rejection off the POC, but you flip the low into support, back above the POC, fulfill your profile. Deviate above, price is now expensive. You can look for your confirmations, look for the short. Once you get back into the range, you're expecting to go back down to fair value. POC, lose the POC, back down to the low. You get back in, back above the POC, back to the high. Deviate above, and of course you're not always going to be taking trades, right? You want to see your bearish confirmations. I'm not going to go and look to see if we had confirmations here. You didn't get an SFP, so I wouldn't consider that a confirmation. Maybe you could see something there, but at the end of the day, more often than not, when you don't have a confirmation, you're going to continue up. You have your money flow in the green here. Just for a random example, you may not be expecting a full rotation, right? But then you get up here, maybe you get an SFP, maybe you actually get your bearish divergences. The simple idea is it is a failed auction, right? Price tries to trade outside of the value area, but gets back in and gets rotated to fair value. And of course, eventually that range is going to break. You get the full fill, the full fill, the full fill, the full fill, right? The full fill. Eventually you're going to get that breakout. How do you know when that breakout is coming? I look at high time frame money flow. Money flow is in the red here. Remain range bound, right? There's no there's, a lower probability that you're going to get a breakout, right? Because you're not going to expect your high time frame trend to continue to the upside when your money flows in the red, right? Money flows in the red. Am I expecting a higher low and a higher high? No, I'm expecting a push back down into the range. Then down here, you look to take that long. Now money flow starts coming up on the daily. This indicates not only are you very likely to get another full fill of that volume profile, but at this point, you could take partial profits and potentially hold a portion of your trade as a swing because the breakout is much more likely here because your money flows in the green. At that point, you're looking for higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Continuation of that overall uptrend. Money flow indicates the overall trend. When we looked for this range to break down, we deviate above the high, get back into the range, go back to the low. Would I be looking to long this for a massive new high? No. Look at your money flow. It's coming out, ready to cross into the red. That indicates more likely that you will see this range break down. And I hate to do this. Looking at our current price action, what does this look like? We're going to get a massive bounce here for a new high. I would have to say that's the lower probability scenario. Why? Look at your money flow. Did I just delete something there? No. Look at your money flow, right? Money flow is crossing red. That indicates more likely that if you do get back into this range, you'll probably rotate back down and potentially that money flow goes red, lose that range in full. Best way to trade, in my opinion, right? This is not something, I can't sell you a volume profile. This is just what I find to be the best. Let's see. Shout out to Can't Be the Bay. Says they want it back at 61K and then rip it to 100. We'll see. 61K gets pretty close to the 200-week moving average, so maybe we can get some kind of a bigger reaction off of that. And when we take a look here at our... Actually, just hide these levels. Let's pull up that 200-week. We took a look at this yesterday as well. Somebody asked me, is it possible to go to 90K, right, or even like 100K? I would have to say it's a lower probability scenario right now, but if you did end up getting a push back through the profile, we flip that 786, money flow starts coming back up. This would still be a, that 86 to 90K target is still do have, our 786 sitting up there. Come on. At about $87,000, almost $88,000. You got the 50-week moving average at about 92K. Yeah, and then if we pull our full Fibonacci retracement, believe you have I think it's like $102,000 maybe golden pocket. 61865. Yeah, that macro golden pocket pulled from the high to the low does sit in that $100,000 area. But my argument yesterday was that I do think if we were going to see those higher targets hit, it would have happened off the back of this pump. But we'll see. We'll see. You do have that 200-week moving average. We'll see if we can get a big bounce there. Again, I don't know exactly what's going to happen down there because I don't have the price action to look at. But as it stands right now with this money flow coming out, would expect eventually another low to be put in, at least below the one that we have right now. So there you go. Shout out to Vampire said, I'm in the premium under another name as well. Hey, shout out to Vampire. Welcome in. Shout out to Brillo said, hey, Frankie, can you take a look at Solana on the 2-week time frame? I see a very scary head and shoulders with a technical target of about $45. I don't trade patterns, but it is interesting. Let me take a quick look at Solana here for you. Let's actually... How's Hype doing? Hype's still chilling in our bigger target there. Let's take a look at Solana. I thought that was a big wick. It's like, oh, my God. I'm sorry, Ethereum. Yeah, so we looked at this on Ethereum, obviously very similar to Bitcoin. Get accepted below the value area high. Next stop, POC. Lose the POC. Next stop, value area low, right? Just clockwork. If you take anything away from this stream, guys, take the volume profiles, put them in your pocket, go study them, go watch the tutorials on the channel, go back test them. They're the best. They're the absolute best. But obviously we got the full rotation down to the low. Just like on Bitcoin, not a ton of really good confirmation there. We have the 786 daily MPOC sitting right here at about 1866. You can't reclaim this, which it doesn't look very good, right? If we cannot get, this is the daily candle. Unless, if we can't get a reclaim of that 786, basically the entire blue zone here between 1915 or call it 1919 and 1864, you can't get back above this, guys. More from the Fibonacci theory, you can't get back above that 786. Still looking to take out this low. So in order to not see this low get taken out, you need to reclaim this. And you don't really have a lot of time, right? Because if we can't reclaim it sooner than later, the next stop is going to be below this low. In which case, the next major target, in my opinion, for Ethereum is going to be sitting down here by our monthly naked point of control and our weekly horizontal sitting at about 1583. So daily money flow in the red, just like Bitcoin is looking to do. 2-hour money flow. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Bueller. There we go. 2-day money flow in the red. Yeah, man. 3-day money flow back in the red. You got your VWAPs trying to curve back up, but of course, from the trend perspective, money flow is all coming out. Let's take a quick look at Solana here. Same theory on Solana as well. We take a look at this as our last major key level. Once we lose that 786, what do we look to take out, guys? We look to take out that low, sitting right here at 76.64. There's the break of that low. All the money flow coming out, all the money flow pointing towards lower highs and lower lows. There's the crack of the low. Our next major key level of support. Going to have to actually do some live analysis here. But yeah, looking at a Head and Shoulders, shout out to Brillo. I don't know exactly what Head and Shoulders you're looking at. Maybe you're looking at something like this. Let's pull the technical target. I don't know. That might be what you're looking at. You might be looking at it on log. Or non-log, rather. Yeah, I don't know exactly what Head and Shoulders you're looking at. I don't know if I would identify that as a Head and Shoulders. Potentially. Again, not a pattern trader. But yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, the 2-week he said, actually, didn't he? Something like that is probably what you're looking at. Maybe. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what you're looking at here. Because the technical breakdown for this would really be kind of closer to where we're near right now in the 60s. Maybe the 50s. Maybe, yeah, you'd probably be pulling it from here. Maybe that's what you're looking at. Definitely interesting. But let me try to pull up some major support down below. Because obviously we lost that 786. We took out the low. Now the question is, pull this full fib. Believe, yeah. Yeah, so you can't reclaim this. Obviously, I'd be looking to take out this low at 67.33. Yeah, I mean, this is your line in the sand right here, guys. You can't hold this. I mean, Golden Pockets already ran through. Didn't really give you much of anything. Yeah, I mean, you can't get back above $73. There's some danger here to break the 67.60 low. And let me just try to see if I can pull up any other. Yeah, this monthly MPOC is tapped. So, again, I don't put as much weight on that. See if I could get any of these MPOCs to print. It's going to be impossible, man. It's not going to go back that far. Let me pull up a monthly. I might be able to get some monthlies there. Yeah, I mean, the only other monthly MPOC that you have, I mean, you lose this zone. Monthly MPOC sitting down towards about $58. That is really the only significant level that I can see here from a naked point of control perspective. Weekly is going to be too far back to pull. Oh, no, never mind. Then you have one weekly MPOC down here. So, again, I mean, you're pretty far away from this. So I wouldn't get, like, too scared. But, yeah, I mean, like, when I try to find key levels below this, very simply put, there really isn't much. Let me hide. You can get rid of this. You can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Get rid of this. This is tapped. This is already tapped. Whoops. See if we get another. Yeah, no new MPOC there. Yeah, man. I mean, you're at the level. Unless you get some kind of SFP from the low. That's really the next level I'd be looking at. I get like a weekly yeah, you got a weekly horizontal in there as well. It's probably already marked off. This weekly's already tapped. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could find a better or a closer level, but that's really the next horizontal level. So your hope is to really not break too far below this and reclaim that 786. Other than that, you can't get back above here. I mean, I'd have to be looking for that to be the next target, $58. And, like, I could try to pull some kind of, yeah, like even if I pull this lower profile, it's not going to get us anywhere near nothing. Even up here. Yeah, I mean, we're already breaking down there. Sure, POC, your value area high. You can see here even like the 2021 volume profile from the top there. Whoops. There's your high. POC. Value area low. And I will just hide the local profile real quick. Just to give this like a cleaner macro view. All right, you get back in, POC, flip the low, back to the high, play around above the POC, back up, bounce off the POC, back up, back in, can't get out, back to the low. So yeah, I mean, maybe you just kind of hover below this value area low, but there's just not a lot of, you're on the horizontal support right now. If this doesn't hold and get you back into the range, I have to say, take out this low. The next key level sits at $58, $57.92. So I wish I could pull up a closer level, but that is what it is. Yeah. So there you go. That's what I look at on Solana. I don't know exactly the 2-week head and shoulders. I assume it has to be like this. That's probably what you're looking at. But yeah, you do have a weekly MPLC at about 43, 46 though. So if that lines up with your target, you do have a little bit of confluence there. Let's see. Shout out to Matt says, just going all in on hype as soon as it breaks out again. Hype is crypto. I mean, yeah, hey, you got to use your own strategies there. Not a strategy that I would necessarily use. Doesn't mean that if you buy on a breakout that it won't continue up. But of course, this is just simply, I personally would never chase these candles. Does that mean that if you buy here, it's not going to do this? No, that could totally happen. Just never something I would chase. If it does break out, I will say, I'll give you another target up here at about 83.55. That'd be the next technical target, right? Because our next major target, if we got the breakout through this liquidity and didn't get the SFP, next target was 68, came up, rejected, got into the Fibonacci zone, right up to the high target at 75.65. So very similarly, if you do end up getting a breakout of here, I would simply be looking right here, 83.52. So there you go. I don't get why people don't like cheap crypto. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Nobody wants it, right? It's like you could just look up that little cartoon. It's like a little lemonade stand. BTC. Take the last cycle for example. 15K. I know this is 5-year-old drawings. BTC 15K. There's one idiot in the line. Then you get BTC at 100K. The line is out the door. It's crazy. Nobody wants this. Everybody wants this. What's the problem with that is the guy that looks like an idiot is the genius when you bring them over here after the big dump. So, yeah, it's just a tale as old as time. It's market psychology, which is great, right? Because without that market psychology, we wouldn't be able to make money. Crystal Ball says 12K. 12K, that's insane. If we go to 12K, there would need to be, in my opinion, some kind of like massive, like crazy recession, something that Bitcoin has never gone through. Obviously, anything is possible. 12K, 5K, 1K, anything is possible, right? But of course, that's not what I'm looking at. But yeah, you would need some kind of crazy black swan event to bring it back down there, in my opinion. At that point, you've got Bitcoin breaking the bear market lows from the previous cycle, which has never happened. You have Bitcoin, which would be, at that point, 82% from its previous all-time high, which has never gotten close to that. You'd have a lot of things breaking in the market. So yeah, definitely not what I would be looking at. But we'll see. Frankie Da Vinci over here. Slightly less talented. Shout out to North Guardian. Want to buy some BTC lemonade, mister? You can't drink it. You can't touch it. It won't quench your thirst. Yeah, but it's in the internet. It's on Magic Internet lemonade. CME Gavin 11K. Send it. It's going to 0. So happy with my Soul Shore from $91. Absolutely printing. Let's go, Brillo. Come on, baby. Come on. More cowbell. Would I recommend day trading at this range or wait for it to go lower and hold? I don't know if I really... shout out to Native Faith. I don't know if I fully understand the question. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I fully understand that question. Maybe you're talking about, like, this little range that we're forming down here. I mean, you're outside the value area. But, yeah, I don't know if I fully understand that. Yeah, if you, like, clarify the question, I'll do my best to answer that for you. Shout out to the moon. Buddy said 14K. Please kick him out. Just kidding. Shout out to the moon. BTC realized price is my lowest target for this bear market, 54K. And that would bring you directly into your previous value area high, which does line up. So getting a little bit more of a bounce here, guys. She's attempting. Whoa. The heck just happened there? All right. Let's see if we can get above that value area high. They just... bear with me here. Come on, scan my face. There we go. All right. Got to keep an eye on that long. Anyone else take notes? Shout out to Beetlejuice. The people who stay here and make money are the ones taking notes. I love when we have CandleMafia members who are like, I studied your tutorial videos. I took notes. I'm using the volume profiles. I understand them. And I made my first, whatever, $3,000 trading. Thank you for the free education. But there is again, there's no way And again, I speak from experience. There's no way to just go copy trade somebody or watch one tutorial video that's going to instantly print you infinite money forever. Trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a skill that you have to develop over time, and it's you're going to have to make mistakes. You're going to have to donate money to the market in the form of making mistakes, doing the things you're not supposed to do, because if you don't do the things you're not supposed to do, if you don't fall off the bike and scrape your knee, you're not going to learn that you have to keep it on 2 wheels, or I don't know. But it is something you have to learn, right? And it's the people, I mean, this is with anything. It's like, take any kind of online money-making opportunity, drop shipping, anything like that, right? It's the people who watch one video and they're like, I'm going to make $1 billion overnight with 1 hour of work a week. Those people are never going to make it. They're chasing something that does not exist, which is a get-rich-quick scheme, or just like fully passive income, right? It's a myth. It's Fugazi. I've tried every online money-making possibility there is out there. And the ones that I own, the only ones that I ever found success with were ones that were sold as get-rich-quick schemes, but I understood that you could make money with it. It just wasn't a get-rich-quick scheme. And trading is the same way. You still have to put in the work. There's no one YouTube video, one indicator that you can get that's just instantly going to make you a ton of money. Sure, you can get lucky, but to be consistently profitable and replace your full-time job, you have to put in the work, right? And that should make people excited, because the fact that it is not a get-rich-quick scheme means that it's real, means that it's possible. You should never expect something so good, especially something as lucrative or as freeing as trading, to come easy, right? It's always, people see other traders making money, but they don't understand. They're not watching them from their beginner phases. I always say, I wish that I started my YouTube channel like at the beginning of my journey, so I could be like, go watch the YouTube videos that I put up from 2016 and watch me get wrecked and watch me struggle, and more importantly, watch me keep going and fix the mistakes. I did not get to skip the hard part of trading. I just am out of that phase, right? I didn't get to skip it. I'm just not in it anymore, right? So to expect the results you see of someone who has already gone through a long phase of losing and learning, and just to instantly expect like, oh, I won't have to do that, is not realistic, right? I always compare it to sports, right? If you have a friend that's really good at basketball and that friend tells you, hey, you're missing all your shots because you don't know how to shoot a basketball. This is how you shoot a basketball, right? Just because he tells you that, he's not going to be able to tell you that one time and then you're going to get onto the court and be able to be good at basketball like he is, because he probably didn't start that way. He's just been playing basketball for years and practiced for a long time. It's very simple. But trading is the same way. There's enough free information on this YouTube channel to watch all the videos, take notes, go back to your chart, go into bar replay mode, back test those strategies, and grow as a trader and become profitable. But a lot of people really won't, I would say, just statistically speaking, I think the CandleMafia understands that. I think maybe 80-90% of the people in here understand that. But a majority of the people in the world are not going to want to put in the work that it takes. But it just really comes down to a question of how bad do you want it, right? Maybe people don't really want to be a trader. They're like, I like my job. I don't want to have to risk money. Like, that's great. That's not bad. That's good. You should 100% do that. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely the best thing. I look back at, when I was struggling big time. Thank God I didn't give up. Thank God I'm stubborn, right? Because I didn't give up because I was like, I'm going to do it. I went the whole time being like, I'm just getting wrecked, man. I'm never going to do this. But I was just stubborn. I just was like, I'm going to figure this out or die. And luckily I stuck with it. Shout out to Jun Kim, I think is what that says. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Said, can you take a look at Hype? Yeah, we did take a look at Hype briefly here. I'll jump back into it real quick for you. Let me just clean up this chart real quick. So I could take this off the chart. So I would say from a high time frame, Hype looks good, right? Which is weird. And this just goes to show, right? Like, I'm not saying, oh my God, Bitcoin's dumping. This is just going to go down to zero, right? No, this chart does not look bad. 3-day money flow, beautifully in the green. 4-day money flow, crossing into the green. Now, of course, we've already gotten a massive move to the upside. So, again, is this something that I would chase? Not that you shouldn't chase it. If you want to chase it, you could chase it. I would never long Hype up here, right? Doesn't mean it won't go higher. It just means if it goes higher, I'm going to wait. I need to wait for some kind of a pullback. So, in my opinion, for me, it's too late to chase that for any long positions or anything like that. But from a long-term perspective, right, even if these red dots print and this thing cools off, look at your money flow. Your money flow is coming into the green. 2-day, nicely in the green. 3-day, in the green. 4-day, in the green. 5-day, in the green. 6-day, in the green. Weekly, in the green, and coming up. Let's take a look at the daily. daily money flow in the green, right? So this thing, honestly, from like the higher time frame perspective, even on pullbacks, there's going to be an opportunity to continue up to higher prices, in my opinion, right? Because when money flow is in the green, what am I looking for? I am looking for just general higher lows, higher highs. Higher lows, higher highs. So the biggest levels of support I would look at would be, let's pull it from the impulse to the high, which is right here. This has moved, right, because we did put in a new high. And you could view these as two separate levels. I'm just going to mark them off as a zone just to keep it nice and simple. Golden pocket retracement from the impulse to the high sits between 52.60 and 46.125. If you were to get some kind of a big pullback, this would be a big level to stay on top of in order to potentially continue your uptrend. When money flow is coming up, I'm looking for higher lows and higher highs. Where are those higher lows likely to come in at? Golden pocket 786s. Not just this one, right? You might not get that full deep pullback. So the only other one I would really pull here would probably be mark this out real quick. Look at that. So this value area high is going to be a pretty important level as well, right? Because I don't know if you're necessarily guaranteed to get that full pullback, right? We don't know which one it's going to bounce off of, right? It could bounce from an earlier fib, right? So that's what I'm pulling up for you right here. So right now, directly underneath you, I'll pull up a lower time frame. You have your previous value area high, your golden pocket. Could try to pull up some MPOCs here as well. You do have a daily MPOC in there. Pull up a weekly. Got a weekly MPOC in there. So you're starting to build out some confluence inside this golden pocket. Wow, actually looks pretty nice. Okay, let's see the monthly. No, monthly MPOC is all the way down here. Okay, so let's turn all this garbage off. Come back down to lower time frame. So I would say, if you do end up, and of course there's going to be local levels down here, up here as well, right? Of course, I'm not going to mark off every single level. This would take forever. But you know, maybe you start to create more of a range here. You could always view this as a volume profile. But I would say like the significant pullbacks, what would this be? 17% pullback. You got your weekly, daily MPOC, your value area high, and your golden pocket. I would say from a golden pocket perspective, if you got a big pullback, this would be a decent place to be looking at. This sits between 62.60 and 61.515. And then underneath that, these would be like the three big zones I would look at. Golden pocket, 786 zone, 786 POC value area low, daily MPOC, 58.70 to 56.70. And then underneath that, you have the bigger fib that I showed you at first, right? 52.53 to 46.210. So I would set an alert here. I would set an alert here. I would set an alert here. As price pushes into those levels, I would identify the price action. What does money flow look like? Of course, I can't give like the full masterclass on exactly what to look for right now. That would take days. But, you know, for me personally, you know, unless you want to break this down into more local price action, which you totally can, right? There's a chance you could potentially bounce off this golden pocket, right? But for me, I would need some kind of significant pullback. But I'm also totally fine with this thing going up without me. I don't care, right? I can make money on so many other things. And I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I missed my life-changing money on hype. So not everyone's in that situation. So we'll see. If you get a bigger pullback here, those would be the biggest levels I'd be looking at for a bounce. So there you go. Shout out to Native Faith says, is it safe to buy or sell Bitcoin between 63 and 67K range or not, since it can crash to the lower levels? I mean, I would just need a bit more price action to develop, right? Would you say 63 to 67? Yeah, I mean, we're not even down to 63 yet. I would need some kind of price action to develop, right? Like maybe if you created some kind of a range. Whoops. All right, maybe you get a range here. I know, depending on where the low comes in. You just need more price action to develop, right? Like even looking at this through a volume profile, it's not like this volume profile is pretty. So yeah, for me personally, like I said, I took a shot at the long here. I don't have high hopes of it playing out very big. But again, if you want more information on that, scroll back to the beginning of the stream. Talked about it in detail. I don't want to repeat it. But yeah, I don't know. Pull up the fib here. Yeah, I mean, 786 is a 64K. I would need the range to form in order to identify it as a range, if that makes sense. Let's see. Imagine being the guys buying at 120. I mean, I try so hard to come up here and spit the truth on the charts. Hopefully the Mafia. Most of the Mafia was not buying at 120. But yeah, I mean, it's brutal. I mean, listen, again, it's just such a common thing, right? People are not going to be excited buying Bitcoin down here, right? Oh my God, it's dead. It's never coming back. People want to buy it up here. It's exciting. 150K, right? They just think it's just too late. It's again, I don't even really like to cover this too much because I like to think it's like, even if you don't know a lot about financial markets, it's like obvious: buy fear, sell greed. But even though people know that, most people buy the greed and sell the fear. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts here on Bitcoin, guys. 2 hours and 4 minutes on the live stream. Getting a little bit of a continued bounce. Let's see. Long is up about $400 right now. Oh my God. All of my positions just disappeared. I thought I accidentally hit close all. But I will show that right here. Let me see if I can... Let me see that. There it is. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We got the little bounce. We had the 15-minute bull div. We had the little SFP. Again, if I had to say here, guys, I may have to take a third loss in a row here, which is totally fine. But I just don't like this looming 4-hour red dot. But of course, this is why I say I like trading the confirmations, because even if it's not a high probability bounce or a high probability that there's going to be a big trend to the upside, you see that bull div, you see the SFP, price moves up, right? That's why I like to kind of, I'm like a contrarian trader, right? Like, even if you can capitalize on that little bounce, right? Like, of course, I'm not necessarily interested in just closing that profit. But if I wanted to, I can make $500, $400 for the day, close the trade, walk away. And it was on this tiny little bounce. Again, not what I'm doing. But we'll see what happens here. I'll give you the range that I'm looking at one more time. Value area low sits at $66,234. If we can get above there, which again, if that 4-hour red dot prints, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. But if we can get above there, that will open up the door to come sweep out that liquidity above 67,000 into the point of control of the range, right? You have your beautiful volume profile theory there. But that is only going to be possible until it's not going to be possible unless we can flip that value area low. Until then, value area low is resistance until proven otherwise, 66,234. Get above there. POC / liquidity in the 67 to 67.4 to 67, almost 68K. And then, of course, you can see pullbacks here. But if we could stay inside the range, flip the POC, that could bring us up to the next major level of resistance, which would be very nice if we can get a retracement up in here between about 70,700 and 72.2. But we'll see what happens. Again, I said this the other day when I got stopped out of my long. If I had to say, I think there's probably going to be a high probability I stop out of this. But you guys know my plans. You know my positions. You know what I'm expecting next. Shout out to anybody who's been watching the live streams here, as we have called for every single target that has come in here. Not saying it to brag, saying it because we teach you how to do this. Simple thing to take away from the stream. If you're new here and you do not know what the volume profiles are, go watch the beginner series. Learn the volume profiles. Lose the high, have to be bearish for the 68K POC and the value area low for the full fill, the volume profile. My favorite strategy. As you guys know, I'm like the volume profile shill out here, even though I'm not shilling it for profit. I'm shilling it to make you profit, right? So there you go. Beautiful fill of the volume profile. Even if we continue down, we'll see if we can get a little deviation below here. The biggest goal is to get back inside the range and see a bit of a retracement, but because the money flow is coming out, overall medium time frame anticipation are those lackluster retracements are to be faded for lower highs and lower lows. Gave the exact key levels earlier in the stream, so if you just tuned in, get all the sauce, scrub back to the beginning of the stream, and watch it through. Rinse, repeat. Yeah, shout out to Crypto King. Rob the Crypto Snob in the chat. Someone said, shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Is he in here? Shout out to Rob. Welcome in. Is he here? I don't see him. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. The timing of the streams don't line up too well with his schedule nowadays, but shout out to Rob. He's an OG made member of the Candle Mafia. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here and watching this price action, watching the key levels get hit, watching the targets get smashed. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you guys are interested in looking at or checking out any of the indicators or exchanges I use to trade, check the links in the description down below to get some deals. That's all I got. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Come on, Bitcoin bounce. Let us win along here. I'm 2 losses in a row. Well, loss, win, loss. Give us another win. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the roll, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the